Hi, everyone. It's Brenda again with Three Uniques. I'm really excited to introduce you today to Paul Kezin. Hey, Paul, how are you doing?
I'm good. How are you? Thanks
Um,
for having me.
oh, yeah, always. It's so exciting to have you on today. I'm really excited to get to hear about your Three Uniques. So, just for everyone listening, Paul Kezin and I have known each other for well over, I'm going to say 20 years.
Yeah, yeah,
Fine.
it is. It's more than that actually,
I
but
know, but I'm just gonna say 20. Just round
yeah,
down, not round up.
yeah.
And so just a little bit about Paul, and he's gonna share some more stuff about him. He's a retail executive. He's worked for phenomenal brands all over the world. And he's just come back from Japan, and now he's living in Vancouver, Canada, where I'm from. So Paul, anything else you want to share about yourself for everyone?
Well, I am a proud Canadian, but I like to think I have two homes, and you mentioned one. So Japan is one home. I've spent about half my career there, and recently just came back 2 months ago. Came back to Canada, which is my second home and first home. Born in Calgary, and I've been fortunate to live in great cities. Calgary, one of them, Vancouver, Toronto, and Tokyo. Recently, with my family, got two kids, and we've moved back to Vancouver for a change of pace, change in lifestyle, and see what the West can offer us. My aging years.
Awesome. Makes it sound like you're on the downhill or something.
No,
Only up from here.
very, very, yeah, only up.
Yeah. So, Paul, you're here to share with us your three uniques. So let's go. Lay it on.
Yes. All right. All right. So adaptable, empathetic, and humorous. Those
Yeah.
would be the three things I think make me unique.
Okay, awesome. Sorry to cut you off there, but absolutely the humorous. If you didn't put that in there, I'd be like shocked. So that's awesome. Okay, let's take it from the top. Let's hear it again. Number one.
So adaptable. I grew up actually as one of four kids raised by my single mom, and I was in Calgary for pretty much my entire life, till 25.
Hmm.
So I was late leaving the house and a little bit nervous, tentative. But once I actually did, it was like this whole world opened up. And I think, being one of the younger kids as well of four, you see so much that's going on around you. So I was quite observant. I still am more of an observer than I am, extrovert and initiator. Um, but once I, took that first step, it was and saw how easy it was just infectious. I wanted to explore more. I wanted to continue to try different experiences, whether that was job experiences or different cities, different countries. And I've found now over the course of 30 years and several roles, different companies, different cities, and different countries, been fairly adaptable and constantly learning. I enjoy that sort of change because I really welcome new perspective, whether it's from friends, family, coworkers, bosses, anything that sort of gets me thinking and thinking differently, allows me to learn. And I think it's one of the things that has made me successful in each of the roles or cities or countries is that quality and being able to adapt and kind of not spend so much time questioning. I don't question from a point of view of why do you do it that way.
Mm-hmm.
It's more like questioning from a point of view like, oh, that's interesting, why do you do it that way? There's a
Right.
curiosity that tends to guide me in my experiences. And so I think that's been something that's brought me so much uh, I don't know, joy,
Mhm.
so much happiness, so much learning, and quite grateful for the experiences I've had, but stems from being adaptable.
Awesome. So, I mean, like the last like probably 10 years, we've seen like this surgence of diversity and inclusion leaders, heads of HR taking on diversity inclusion or even putting in diversity inclusion roles specifically at like the C-suite
Yeah.
level or at different levels in organizations. And you've come from very big brands like Gap or
Yes.
um, and I'm sure that they would have had those type of roles in place in
They didn't call them that, but yeah,
okay.
they in the
Yeah.
latter years they did. Yeah.
Yeah. So like having those roles in place. but what you're talking about is like at the leader level, like you're in operations, you're out there in the field. So you're not necessarily following like some diversity inclusion policy
Right.
or program or, code of conduct. You're
Yes.
actually being an adaptable leader, and you're
Yeah.
going into new countries, new ways, new organizations, new people with like different cultural perspectives, languages,
Totally. Yeah.
spiritual beliefs, like whatever those things, upbringings, like family upbringings. And you're just saying like, I just took it from a place of curiosity.
Yeah.
So, like, how do we, like, when you talk about adaptability, like, and not that I want to sound cynical, but, I love all the programs and the policies and the
Yeah.
mandates
Yes.
coming from diversity inclusion officers or VPs and organizations. And here we have somebody that is just living that, like it's just part of like
Yeah.
your three uniques, and you just do it. So what advice would you give to leaders out there that like to be more
Uh,
adaptable and to be curious, like you've approached it?
yeah. I mean, the thing that I spent most of my time doing is listening. And
Mm-hmm.
so, again, coming from when I think about my experience, whether it was moving from Calgary to Vancouver, or
Mm-hmm.
then another step, Vancouver to Tokyo, I didn't know, I knew nothing about the language when I went there.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, I was thrust into a store leadership position, at their flagship store, with no translator. And there were of course people that could speak English within the
Sure.
store, but it's limited, and you just learn by listening. I mean, that was the
Mm-hmm.
first thing, is you observe and listen. And if you take time to ask questions, and from a place of genuine learning, like I really want to know,
Mm-hmm.
not from a place of, let me ask you the question, but I'm going to tell you what I think anyway.
Right.
Then it's easy, because you start to understand in how you can support, or how you can adapt to make something work differently because of a different belief or different method. And the first really starting point is always to ask and listen.
Awesome.
Know there's different ways.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. I just think it's good to kind of hear from your perspective on that standpoint. Like, I think that some of the plans are great and they're profound, and they're definitely looking at the systemic issues that go on and plague organizations around, things like racism or discrimination. So I don't
Yeah.
want to like underpin that or knock it down in any way. And I also think that it, can be as simple as your approach, which is just listen, be curious, not to judge, but to really go in there heartfelt, wanting to understand from other people.
Yeah, and maybe sounds simple for me because that's just how I do it, but it is always my starting point,
Yeah.
is ask and listen. I always feel like my role in that position is really to listen, to learn, and then to teach. And sometimes I'm being taught, through that listening and learning, right? I'm being taught, but that comes after. Teach. But some people always approach teach first.
Right.
And how do you know you're teaching the right things if you're not listening and asking?
Yeah.
So that's always been my starting point.
Cool. And then your second unique.
Yeah, it's kind of related to that, adaptability, but there's empathetic.
Mm-hmm.
And empathetic, it comes from two places, of course. My upbringing, and seeing how, just the family dynamics, and watching a single mom raise four kids.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to cause any more trouble. I just want to support. And so I think there's a piece of it comes from upbringing, and then another piece comes from just what you learn from your own experiences. And I was really fortunate. My first sort of serious role, or when my career started with Gap, I had a great boss, and who sort of practiced that, listening, empathy, caring. And there's an innate part of it that is part of who I am, and then there's you have to nurture that, and through your work and training and leaders that you have above you. And I was fortunate. I did have a good leader. My first boss was
Is that
excellent.
Katie?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, Katie. And so empathy comes from a genuine place of caring. I care about what you think. Someone gave me an opportunity to grow my career. I want to make sure that I'm giving others the same sort of opportunities. and care about what are they, you know, how are they progressing? How are they feeling? Are they frustrated? Are they happy? You know, what more can we do for people, and what more can I do for you? But it starts with that place of I care first. You know, I'll listen because I want to know how to support,
Mm-hmm.
and you know, I'm inclusive. You know, I like to include people in decision making or in you know, direction. What's the direction we're going, and I think you get a lot further when people, you understand people, and when they can feel like they're part of the process.
Yeah, absolutely. Get there
Yeah.
probably faster too, right? If you're not that it's always about speed and getting to that bottom line result, but when we think about probably through past examples where it's like, you know, maybe we weren't including people or we
Yes.
included ourselves, it just took longer, right? So
Yeah. Yeah. It can, you know, it still can take longer, but
yeah,
in the end, I still think you're going to save time and heartache. You know,
yeah.
you get alignment a lot quicker.
Hmm.
You get agreement a lot quicker. And then, you know, mostly you get engagement a lot quicker.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. Okay, and your third unique.
Just humorous.
Yeah.
Um, and I don't mean like I'm the funniest person in the world, but I like to have fun at work. I like to make jokes about situations. You know, I like to make fun of myself and or, you know, the situation we might find ourselves in, because I think when you're, you know, you spend more time at work than you necessarily do at home or outside of, and you need to be able to enjoy and laugh, and I mean, laughing is just such a good medicine. So I've always, you know, wanted to, well, I've always, even within school, it was the number one comment on always on my report cards is Paul needs to socialize and, you know, spend more time focused on his schoolwork, less time on, you know, socializing or disrupting or whatever the case may be. But I always, no matter where I am, you know, I want to have fun and I want to lighten the mood, because sometimes it is funny, you know, what we're faced with. We should be able to take a look at it and laugh at it and
Totally.
make jokes about it, because, you know, then people will tend to, it's a stress release, you
Yeah.
know, I think for some,
Well,
and
and for that,
then it doesn't become this like overwhelming heavy burden. Is like, you
yeah.
know, it's a solvable problem, and sometimes we have to be able to laugh at our problems.
Totally. And for that grade 9 teacher that wrote that on your report card,
Yeah.
let them know that you're a really effective leader to this day.
Yeah.
You've incorporated humor, empathy, and adaptability into your leadership practice, which is awesome.
Yes. Yeah. Thank you. Yeah.
Yeah. A couple questions just to kind of
Sure.
like catch you on the fly here. So, what or who lights you up?
What or who? Well, my kids.
Okay.
So, yeah, I've got a 15-year-old son. I've got an 8-year-old daughter.
Hmm.
And she's like super creative, super energetic, and she's now at this age, you know, starting to come out of her shell. You know, she was a little bit more shy and reserved, but now, especially coming into a new city, I mean, I was really surprised at how well she's adapted, and being a month now into a whole new city, new country. But she does, you know, her creative spirit, her endless energy, and you know, she's just a fun ball of energy. So she lights me up.
That's
Yeah.
That's great.
Yeah.
And then my other question for you is, what's an unusual habit or an absurd thing that you like to do?
Hmm. That's a good question. Unusual habit or absurd thing that I
This is
like to
PG
do.
rated too, by the way. I'm just
What's
joking.
that?
This is
Yeah.
PG rated.
Yeah, PG rated. An absurd habit. Wow, you really stumped me on that one. I mean, you're probably better to ask my family what's an absurd habit that I do.
Or a ritual, something that's like you wouldn't like, yeah, like you would always make sure you do every day or every week, or it's just something that like is really important to you.
Well, I mean, it's not absurd or unusual, but I like to exercise, and you
Okay.
know, I do it early morning. I do it before breakfast and before work. Otherwise, I won't be able to fit it into a schedule.
Right.
So, that's not absurd, but it is definitely a ritual and routine. I suppose, there's a routine to the order of thing. I do things. Um, I tend to make oatmeal for breakfast. That's kind of my
Oh,
staple
I do
breakfast.
too. I love oatmeal. I love oatmeal for breakfast.
Yeah, yeah, and my daughter or son's like, "How do you never get bored of that?" I'm like, "Cause I just love it, and I'm mixing my oatmeal in the morning." But those are two rituals I have: exercise and oatmeal.
Cool.
Sounds pretty boring. Doesn't sound
No,
very humorous, but
I'm pretty much the same. Exercise and oatmeal too. The trick for me about the oatmeal to like shift it up a little bit is the toppings. So
yeah,
I put walnuts in, but then another day I might put pumpkin seeds, like
yes.
or the
Well,
like
I put
blueberries or bananas.
yeah, I put a combination of cinnamon and turmeric on
Oh,
the oatmeal. It's really good. It's
yeah.
really nice. Yeah, nice way to start the morning. So there, maybe that's an absurd ritual, putting turmeric on oatmeal.
Yeah, that's a new one. I haven't thought about that one. I'll have to
Yeah,
try that.
yeah.
So and the oatmeal could also be because like not everybody likes oatmeal, right?
They don't. That's the other thing I do. I ask every time. I ask, my wife, and now where we're staying right now with some friends, every morning is like, I'm going to make some oatmeal. Do you want some? And I know their answer is no, but I ask them every morning.
Yeah. Okay, so that's your unusual habit.
Yeah.
um, and then my last question for you is: there's less than 100 days left on 2020.
Yes.
So, what is a big goal or something that you really want to take on by December 31st?
Well, I'll be starting a new job next week.
Okay.
And so I definitely want to, assimilate well. It's a new industry for me. So I want to be able to, take it all in and absorb so that at least I can provide some value back
Right.
by the end of December. And, that's kind of a 3-month mark. So I think a realistic time frame. And then, I did tell my daughter last year, New Year's, that because she was into at the time, Ken and Barbie, right? And she's like, Ken's got a 6-pack. So I said, all right, I'll get a 6-pack by the time I turn 50.
Okay.
I'm behind schedule. Let me tell you that. So
Okay.
uh, my birthday's in December, so I still have some time.
All right. All right.
That
Well,
would be the second. That's a pretty lofty goal. I'm not sure I'll hit it, but
yeah, you can make some inroads. Yeah,
yeah,
good though. Get on the right track. Well, that's
yes.
awesome, Paul. Thanks so much for being on today. I really appreciate you sharing your time with us and sharing your 3 uniques. It's been great to
My
catch.
pleasure. Yeah, good to catch up. Thanks for doing this.
Yeah, and for everybody listening, just remember, just like Paul, like get out there and share your 3 uniques. Not that the application process, if you're looking for a job, is like the only way or the best way, but I think we've got means like social media, video, Zoom calls, etc. Like get out there and share your 3 uniques with the world. There's 7.5 billion people on the planet.
Yeah,
Somebody needs what you've got.
they
Take care,
do.
Paul.
Yeah. Thanks, Brenda.